Reports this morning President Biden will be targeting a special tax break that helped Donald Trump amass his fortune. Now, currently, the 1031 like-kind exchange rule allows investors to avoid capital tax gains if proceeds from one sale of an asset is used to purchase a very similar asset. Now, the rule, it's pretty old. It originally started over 100 years ago to help family farmers. Now it's used by major property developers. Joining me now is the chairman and CEO of the Peebles Corporation, Don Peebles. And Don, listen, I'm assuming you've taken advantage of this 1031. If it's gone, how much does it hurt, not just real estate development, but just regular people trying to, not the mega guys like you, but just regular folks trying to invest in real estate?
Well, I think that it hurts the smaller investor much more so because they then have to reinvest their capital in the next real estate transaction with after-tax dollars, as opposed to exchanging into another property and scaling up and being able to leverage the value of their prior assets. And I think that more importantly, the American homeowner should get the benefit of this, which they do not. And if the Democrats do want to make a more fair tax system, why not let the average homeowner who's in a starter home trade and do a 1031 to go to the next home and then the one after that? So I think that they are misguided with trying to take this away. And I think they should expand it, actually.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing, Don. I hate to say this, but I feel like the idea that President Trump used it to make a lot of money is one of the driving forces on this thing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, by the way, because, I mean, look, he's clearly been vilified for 4+ years, and he's no longer the president, and they should be focusing on the agenda ahead for the American people. However, he is not the only beneficiary or the only person or developer to use this 1031 exchange. Many developers around the country and investors, small, medium, and large, have used this. This is something that is used by thousands and tens of thousands of investors annually. So to zero in and make this about him is misguided and disingenuous. But more importantly, I guess they're using it to sell, taking away something that the average investor would benefit from. And otherwise, I think if people dig more into who benefits from the 1031 exchanges, they would find that it's more of the average person, and that the Trump of the world are unique in that equation, because there are very few developers that are making that kind of sizable 1031 exchange in the first place.
Right. Don, I know you have major investments in big cities. There's a lot of rumbling about this summer, like there's going to be hell in major metropolitan areas, bracing for crime waves. And we've had this conversation about the fate of American cities, these large cities. Where are you right now? I mean, if this stuff does materialize, what does it mean for these cities that are struggling to come back from these COVID lockdowns?
Well, I mean, all cities aren't created equally, correct? So, for example, take a look at Miami and South Florida. Miami, West Palm Beach are booming. If you look at the Sunbelt states, they're booming. It's really the higher tax states that are also unfriendly to businesses. And New York City, unfortunately, tops the list there. And I think that New York City is going to have to become more competitive, as I've said all along, but also they've got to get public safety under control. People do not feel safe walking around New York City, and that's because of some of the policies that are implemented recently, and those policies have to be adjusted. So I do believe that the combination of remote working, of the ability to use technology to communicate, avoid meetings, along with the diminishing quality of life in major cities, especially in the Northeast, are going to be challenging. But they'll present some great opportunities. And I think that you're going to see the one thing in New York City I think we'll see bounce back quicker is tourism. I think that people will want to come to New York, except if they feel unsafe. Right. And so I think our big risk for New York and other major cities is crime. And until we get that under control, we're not going to have a broad recovery. But these other cities are going to do a lot better.
Let's just hope the tourism doesn't become like Rome, right? The ruins of New York, that used to be the tallest building in the world. Hey, Don, I wish we had more time. There's so much more I wanted to ask you, but I'm out of time. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate your wisdom. It's always enlightening.
Thanks for having me.